Hello, hail Satan, and welcome to another Gozpod podcast, a podcast from the Global Order of Satan UK. After the most recent episode, which was rather grim about rather grim news in the world, we decided to have a bit of a cheerier one, at least cheerier for Satanists. We're going to talk about our favourite horror movies. I'm Lithos, and with me today we have Largia,
Hail Satan!
Eddie,
Hail Satan.
Bohema,
Hey, Satan.
and Ravage.
They'll say it.
We have the full complement of people. We haven't been able to get our new participant Mel on yet. She is otherwise engaged with life, and life gets in the way sometimes. So let's kick off. Who wants to start with their favorite satanic horror movie?
I love the laugh.
Yay!
I think we just need to talk about that laugh for a minute, don't
Yeah,
we?
that's a bit
Yeah.
of a
That is my favorite satanic movie, just ever, is that laugh.
would now be a good time to admit that I don't actually like horror movies, nor do I watch them very often.
Okay.
Ooh.
Usually
Okay.
vanished.
Sell me on the
this-
concept of a horror movie. Go for
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got an extra task in there, which is
Right.
to actually
Mhm.
sell a Satanist on the concept of horror movies.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
difficult. Because we are not usually trying to, get people to to like something we like. Also, this is the thing, like, what is a horror movie? I am dealing with a big issue, guys. Nothing scares me. I'm running out of movies. Nothing is scary anymore.
Are you chasing the thrill? Yeah,
I
I
don't
know
know.
that feeling. Yeah.
Analog
mostly
horror
about
on
art.
YouTube. That's
Yes.
where it is.
Yes, but I appreciate the art, or like I still watch it. I watch all the horror movies, but like just it's not scary. It's not scary. So, what do you think, guys?
So I've loved horror movies since back in the 70s. BBC Two did a season of American 1950s creature feature horror movies. And I was allowed to watch them. Me and my brother were allowed to stay up and watch them. And I fell in love with, things like Creature from the Black Lagoon and Gahidra the Three-Headed Monster and I Married a Monster from Outer Space and all them. And I've adored horror movies since that time. But I know exactly what you're talking about, Elijah. Yeah, that kind of feeling of, yeah, they don't do. I'm not sure they really truly scare me anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, carry on. Carry on what you're saying.
I was just gonna say, I kind of get this from a slightly different perspective. I don't really watch movies very much, but I've, for as long as I can remember, basically been a massive sucker for sort of horror games and like YouTube horror content, that sort of thing. And as much as it is still very fascinating and really cool to watch from the sort of craftsmanship and like sort of admiring the effort put into the series kind of thing, it is very hard to find something that genuinely like, the kind of thing that keeps you up at night when you're trying to fall asleep. And like,
Yeah.
I rarely ever get that nowadays because of, I think it's so much exposure to it. Potentially, I've heard theories about just movies being catered more towards like wider audiences, so they're not as extreme, stuff like that. I'm not sure, but I could definitely agree with that.
I think there is an element of truth to that. They do seem to be getting, well, yes, they were getting more kind of like mainstream, the kind of the Conjuring esque type
Oh,
sort of mass market. And I'm not knocking that. That's fine, but it's kind of like horror by numbers rather than
yeah, for cinemas,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
think like it's made for many people.
Also, wasn't The Conjuring the one about those two, that charlatan couple who went around finding
Yeah.
ghosts and hugely fucking exaggerated in the movies. It is absolute tosh. Yeah.
Do you want to say you don't believe in this? Come
I don't
on.
believe in what? Ghosts? No.
Yeah, and the charlatan
No.
couple.
Because
No.
I
I
think
mean,
we know what Christmas movies Lithos doesn't like.
I
Not
mean,
Christmas movies, but for
Christmas
whatever.
movies.
yeah.
I don't know where I got Christmas.
I don't like any Christmas movies. They can all get to
I
fuck.
don't know
Christmas
where
is
I pulled that
horror.
from.
It
be
is
honest.
horror, you know. Anyway,
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, apparently, I don't remember this, but when I was a little kid, I used to have what my parents would refer to as night terrors. I think that's what it was called at the time. I would wake up screaming and terrified and think I'd seen ghosts or whatever. And gradually over the years, I've become obsessed with horror movies, and shit doesn't scare me anymore because I've kind of used it as maybe call it kind of aversion therapy thing, where I go, I don't know, it's kind of like you see scary stuff, and then in the end, I'm just like, I don't believe any of this.
Yeah.
but this is true. I think it works for some people. It's very similar to your story. It doesn't need to be just nightmares and stuff, which I had. I was scared, guys. I was scared of everything black to such level that we couldn't even stay on the same side of the road when there was like a black car parked. I was pulling my dad. I was little, but like we couldn't stay on the same side. And now look at my home, and my dresses and everything is black. So I went through that. I didn't realize I'm doing it, but I was exposing myself to horror. I started with Edgar Allan Poe. I was reading. I'm still reading horror books. I have like hills. And
I can
again,
confirm.
yeah, I'm obsessed because it's beautiful to me, and it does something with my psyche that is, I'm a person that is scared of many things still. People, mainly, people can be really nasty and beasts. And maybe this is a therapy, like it's cathartic to me to expose myself to horrors or go through those emotions because your brain doesn't know. You're looking at something, it is horrible, horrifying. The fear in your brain is real. You go through those emotions, but in safe environment. So you're able to face them, you're able to grab them, you're able to deal with them in some way. And I think it works for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that's true. I mean, there's a whole subtextual analysis of the horror genre, and I don't just mean movies. I mean movies, books, theatre, whatever. So, like, the subtextual analysis of a film like The Exorcist, for example, was that it came out at a time when people were kind of shocked by the behaviour of young people in America, and it was around about the time of the whole counterculture and things like that, and people were like, oh, the kids, there's something wrong with the kids. And here comes this film in which there is something very clearly wrong with the kid, and it's kind of like a subtextual thing, and I think that's true of a lot of horror. A lot of horror is of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, if you look at something like sort of going down one of the classical tropes of horror is always zombies. But you look at Romero's zombie movies, and they all had a subtext. The original one is kind of like there's racism right in there.
Yeah.
The next
Yeah,
one, they're all up in the mall, and everyone's walking around the shopping mall like zombies, and it's like, yeah, yeah, this is kind of the subtext. People in shopping malls are walking around like zombies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the really good ones do have a sort of a subtext and are of their time.
Yeah.
The good ones. The
The
shit
good
ones
ones.
are just shit.
Well, like some movies, some horror movies are campy, and what's wrong with that? Like
What, like
yesterday, or
Hammer, kind of Hammer House of
I don't know,
Horror, where
like
it's
Rob
really,
Zombie's. What is it called? House of Thousand Corpses.
oh
Is
God,
that the
yeah.
name? It's so campy, but it's also, in a way, so so good. I love it because if you know what you're going to see and you go into that movie knowing like, okay, I'm going to see a slasher, like Terrifier, whatever. There is no real story. There is no real subtext. It's a slasher movie, I think. You know, maybe I'm wrong, but slasher movies, you know, it's about the effects, you know, like you're waiting for, okay, so what's new? How are they going to make it more gross and believable? It's not my thing really, but
Yeah.
you know.
I feel like this is where it's important to make a distinction between like scary in terms of like jump scare, scary kind of thing, and scary in terms of like I was saying before, like a scary topic that, or like the
Fear.
feeling of being, yeah, like fear,
Yeah.
like something that keeps you up at night, or that sort of thing, which is, I feel like a lot of horror movies cater to very different things. For example, the movie Hush is a very good example of fear. Like there's, from what I can remember, there's not any jump scares. Not
No.
really, at least. But it's a very,
No.
very, like, it's a topic that really gets you thinking. And when you think about it, and the more you think about it, the more terrifying it gets. And it really puts you in the shoes of the protagonist.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Versus,
Yeah, you want
probably
to
the
crawl
more
into the screen and help her.
yeah, versus probably the more famous movies that people remember. Like, I can't think of any good examples, but the sort of general, I don't know, Scream movies, stuff like that.
Yeah, jump
Or
scares.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nothing happening. Ah, scary mask pops up. Which, not that either of those is a bad thing. It's just there definitely is a distinction between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the kind of psychological terror in something like Get Out
Oh,
or
Yeah,
The Shining, the classic.
yeah,
Whatever.
where you kind of they are to be honest with you, they're my kind of favorite ones, the ones where I actually
Mine
get
too.
goosebumps because it's like
Yeah.
this is really creeping me out, but I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it. Whereas slasher movies I can watch and I go, oh, for fuck's sake, what are you gonna
Exactly.
do? Oh yeah, you've cut someone's head off, and then you know. I mean, if it gets comical, then I quite like them. Like Sam
Yeah.
Raimi's stuff. Like I
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
think Evil Dead 2 is an absolute fucking gold star classic, gross out horror
Yeah.
comedy. It's just beginning to end. It doesn't stop. It's gross and it's very, very fucking funny as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
that
think
is
the good ones do that. Sorry, Naji. Go ahead.
just wanted to say like such movie is good to watch with your friends to have
exactly.
fun. It's not a deep movie you need to analyze. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I did see Evil Dead 2 when it came out in the cinema with some friends, and we just came out and we're absolutely buzzing. We're just going, that was fucking brilliant. That's like absolutely everything there. And but the one that creeped me out most out of all of them was when I started getting into horror films, and it was, I can't remember how old I was. I must have been around 15, and it was when Alien came out, and I went to see that in the cinema, and I could not fucking sleep that night. It absolutely shat me up. I mean, that was a fucking
Same.
scary movie, especially when you're getting into scary movies and you watch that and you're going, Jesus Christ, this is horrendous.
Yeah.
Very good film. Very good film. And it was, I know there's a couple of jump scares, but it's that creepiness. You don't know what it is. You don't know what's going on. You don't know where it is. And, the whole atmosphere of it, a fucking classic.
Yeah.
I guess it did also kind of pioneer that whole genre of like sci-fi and whatever. Like, sure, it had been done before, but not to that sort of like scale and popularity. So I guess a lot of people who would have seen it when it came out, like you
Yeah.
probably weren't exposed to that kind of topic to that kind of thing before.
Yeah,
So you would have
that's
seen it
true.
and just gone like, "Holy shit! I've never even thought about that. That is awful," kind of
Yeah,
thing.
out of
Well,
space.
I mean, there's still huge debate now over whether a film Alien is a sci-fi movie or a horror movie. I mean, to me, it's very obviously a horror movie. It just happens to be set in
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Can they not be
But
both at
some
that
people
point?
insist on it being a sci-fi movie.
I mean,
Well,
sci-fi in terms of like the topic of like being obviously
Yes.
not our reality, and
Can be
Yeah.
That sort of
science
thing.
fiction horror. I don't
Yeah.
see any problem with that.
absolutely. And I think until then, kind of where sci-fi crossed over into horror, it was B movies. They were shonky. They were tended to be pretty fucking awful with terrible effects, and
I do love
it's
them though.
yeah. I mean, it
Me
is funny.
too.
I mean, just the original Thing compared to John Carpenter's The Thing,
Yeah,
I love
two
it.
completely different,
I do.
movies.
I think because they were the first set of horror movies that I ever watched. I do have a genuine affection for those old 1950s American creature feature movies. I just think they're. I mean, they were a lot of them were done with close to zero budget, and they're very inventive. And they did kind of like invent a lot of techniques that are still fairly commonly used today in making movies, just to get around the limitations of having zero money to actually do things with.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
that's true.
is really cool, and is again one of those things where like you don't necessarily need the best special effects to sell your concept.
You don't.
There's
You
many
get-
ways
you
around it. You
actually
can
don't.
use plot devices, clever camera techniques, whatever stuff like this. For example, a really good movie which I hadn't heard of until quite recently, Skinamarink, which has pretty much nothing in it, but
Yeah.
is supposedly an amazing, terrifying movie
It is.
with a budget of approximately $7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
which
one of
just,
the most
just shows
inventive movies I've seen. It's
exactly.
brilliant.
It just shows how much you can do with just an idea. That sounds corny as fuck, but it's true.
Yeah, you're going to get me talking about fan footage movies now, and then I ain't going to
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we were getting onto that because
That's my thing.
you look at something like the Blair Witch Project, which had a fucking tiny budget. Most of the budget was the advertising and
Yeah,
the hype
yeah.
that was pushed. That's where all the money went into, all the websites set up, all the sort of like word of mouth stuff. And that's where all the money went. It didn't go into actually filming it. It just
But I
turned
think-
up in the woods with a fucking
Tent.
camera and filmed it, and then it got cut together, and then they did this huge marketing thing. But yeah, the actual and you can do something on a really small budget with found footage.
Yeah. I mean, to the point Bohemia was making about the kind of like required elements for a successful horror movie. To me, good writing, good directing, and good acting. If you've got that, special effects are pretty much secondary, really.
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
at the end of the-
I guess that's true of all movies, really. But
Yeah.
it's,
It's a different thing though. Like depending on the kind of movie, like you need a different balance of those kind of things. Obviously, like in an action movie, it's going to be a lot more about whatever chase scenes, stuff like that. Like you're going to need realistically probably CGI for that. But for something like a psychological horror, you really don't need that. Like you can get around it. Like yes, if you have the budget, it's cool, but you can make it work without it if you have the kind of mind and the kind of ideas to pull it off, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I think I really do appreciate the found footage sort of subgenre of horror movies, because to be good, and a lot of them are not good, it has to be said, but to be good, you have to have a really good idea and a very clear sense of what it is you want to achieve, and then do it. And that kind of sparseness, that the kind of like lack of ability to do particularly digital effects, can really help a movie,
Yeah.
because you become much more reliant on the skill of the writer, the director, and the actors, and you can often get a much better result.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Paranormal Activity was another one that had a really small budget and
£50,000, $50,000, I think it was.
yeah, and I think that might, and I might be wrong here, that might be one that's in the record books as having grossed the most
Yep.
compared to what it cost. They
Yeah,
made bucket loads with
yeah,
that, and it was
yeah,
done on a small budget, but the acting was good. It was very cleverly put together from like little video cameras, CCTV cameras in the house. It was a genuinely scary movie, and
Yeah.
yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can make something, yeah, on very little indeed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that movie in particular. I mean, you're right. I think it is actually, like you say, in the record books, is the most profitable movie based on the budget that it had. But it's kind of that's kind of like that an example of it's almost not acting. I mean, yes, obviously they are acting, but it's more like an actual record of how people would behave. There's no kind of like there's no clever camera shots. It's not something that Ridley Scott, I think, a director like Ridley Scott could ever pull off successfully.
No,
But
no.
yeah, but I'm going to shut up about found footage movies now because I won't.
No, it is good, and the best ones are ones where you're kind of just watching people and they are not obviously acting, but they are behaving
Yes.
like you would behave in
Yeah.
this situation, which in itself is acting, but it's not doing it in an actorly way. It's kind of like you're
Yeah.
just acting like shit, there's something weird going on here, and
Yeah.
and that's how you behave.
Yeah.
There's a bit in I told Ligeia about this movie series, The Blackwell Ghost. And again, very small budget. It's completely a one-man thing. But there's a bit in one of the movies where something really scary happens, and he runs away. And I'm like, yes, because that is what you would do. You wouldn't act like in a big budget movie and just sort of like say something inspiring and then fuck off to the cellar. It would be, you would fucking run.
Yeah.
It was
Or
well
kind of-
done,
Or
really.
kind of walk out into the dark in your underwear when there's something creepy outside without turning
Yeah.
any of the lights on.
Yeah,
You're kind of
exactly.
like,
With a little candlelight going, who goes there?
yeah, absolutely. I like the running away thing. It reminds me of Peter Jackson's, was it his first film, Bad Taste?
Oh, brilliant film.
Where there's the bit, it's run, Derek, run. And he goes, no, I'm a Derek and Derek's town run. Sorry about the shonky TV accent there. But that was a fucking great line.
Oh, it makes sense. You can't argue with that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so the topic is actually satanic horror movies.
Yes,
We haven't- we
need
haven't
to get
touched
onto-
it yet.
We haven't even got onto Rosemary's Baby for a
No,
start.
nothing. We did nothing.
Although,
Sorry if I derailed that.
No, you
Yeah.
didn't.
No, it was
This
all
is-
of
we
us.
can talk about Rosemary's Baby, but let's not talk about the director of that movie.
No.
Oh,
Did
no,
you
no,
do
no.
something wrong or something?
I don't know about this either.
Not keep that in the edit.
Really?
I don't know about this. No.
Wait, really?
It's old.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think Eddie...
I managed to escape
Just
pop
joking.
culture very well.
We're inviting the young people on the podcast. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you, Mother Bohema. She's not raising you so well. Okay. We will have to change this. Okay, so Rosemary's Baby it is this Christmas. Whatever.
Was
Okay.
was that the first really big sort of Satan-themed movie?
It
was
came
it
out
a-
in a specific time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Things were happening.
I think it was it 76?
68.
76?
I think.
68,
Yeah,
yeah.
before that,
Fucking
yeah.
hell.
It was before the COS 1 year before. if I'm right. Am I correct? I think. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely the 60s. So
Yeah,
yeah,
68 and yeah.
absolutely. And I think it's like I don't know if there's anything of certainly not of that kind of magnitude in terms of, how much it was
We
seen
can't
before
go
then. That
back,
was
It was like the canvas was almost clean and waiting, and now this movie came out with people who played in it, not mentioning any names, not saying any names here. I don't know why, but yeah. Mia Farrow, the scandal
Farrow,
and stuff.
Mm. I
Ah,
yeah.
mean, there was obviously all that Hammer House of Horror stuff as well, which was kind of like loosely a lot of it based on Dennis Wheatley shoddy novels.
Yeah.
And but around what time were they? That was like spanning quite a bit of time.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. Um, I mean, again, they were kind of like sort of mid 60s and they kept going
mm,
till, oh, what, late 80s ish?
yeah, yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think quite went on for quite a long time.
I mean,
yeah.
some of the Hammer movies were pretty good. I mean, the Christopher Lee Dracula is a fantastic movie,
Yeah,
and
I mean it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
some of the people in those movies are absolutely iconic for their roles.
yeah,
Christopher Lee,
yeah,
Peter Cushing. You know,
yeah,
you're kind of like they're archetypes of those kind of
Oh,
roles.
absolutely. I
yeah,
still see
yeah,
the Dracula, like many of them, but one of them, yeah, Christopher was awesome.
yeah. I mean, Christopher Lee is Dracula to me. I mean, I think
Right.
when you watch it when you're young, and it kind of like gets imprinted on you that
Mm,
it's kind of like it's like Henry Cavill's a good Superman, but to me, Superman is Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Um, and by the same token, Dracula to me is Christopher Lee, and yeah, there was
It's
a really
Christopher.
good Harriman movie with Susan George in it, and I cannot remember what it was called.
Oh, can figure that one out, can't we?
Uh, House of something. I thought no, I can't remember.
Leaves.
Is that it? Is that what it was? House of
That's a
Leaves?
book.
No. Oh, Jesus
No,
Christ!
that's a
Oh,
book.
come
I
That
was
book.
unfortunately joking. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That book is unfilmable, I think.
No, I don't
Yeah.
see that happening.
Purely
Although
by
there is
design.
a mod for the game Doom that is based on that and is absolutely amazing. It's called My House. So if you're interested, go
Really?
watch it. I absolutely fucking love it. But
I don't see how you could make a film out of that book.
No,
yeah, it's very difficult.
maybe it's good like that.
Yeah,
It's a book.
I think that's an art in itself, is making something that cannot be
I love that.
imagined in a different way than you have written it. Or not
think
imagined,
so.
that's the wrong way to put it, but that kind
I
of
think for
line
House
of
for
thinking.
House of Leaves though, it's more the structure of the book
Yeah,
rather than because there's about three or four different stories going on at the same time,
yeah.
and they're all kind of like interweaved with each other.
Hmm.
It's like, how do you replicate the way it's written? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, literally just like the layout of pages and stuff. Like, you can't put that in a movie.
But this is
Yeah.
usually with, if a book has a movie after the book, it's usually that the book is much, much better and richer.
Which is also
and,
true of Rosemary's Baby,
Yes,
to be honest.
yes,
R. Levin's novel is fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
there's also the thing about books that are deemed unfilmable. There's always some fucker who comes along and goes, "Oh, I'm going to film that because I'm the best director ever," and then they
And then
make
goes
a
bankrupt.
complete and they make a complete shit show of it, and everyone goes, "That's a fucking shit film. What did you do?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna commit heresy now and say that's how I think of The Shining.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Stephen King was not happy with it. He
Stephen
doesn't.
King also did like a shitload of cocaine and just lost his
Oh,
mind. So I
yes,
feel
yes.
like
Oh, yes.
True.
Oh, you can tell by the books. Like, oh, this one was. Yes. we
I
know.
mean, arguably, you could say a lot of Kubrick's stuff was style over substance. He had an absolute fucking obsession with symmetry. And you can see it in The Shining and so
Yeah.
many scenes where everything's perfectly symmetrical. And you're going, just, dude, it's a horror movie. What is your obsession with fucking symmetrical sets?
I loved it.
And
There's
you know,
something around Edge, Stanley.
it's very pretty, but it's kind of like compared to the original, just like 2001: A Space Odyssey, nowhere
Right.
near as good as the book itself. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty, it's eye candy, it's very
I
cleverly
think,
done. He spent
yeah.
loads of money trying to get things right, you know, and you're going, yeah, but in the end, was it a great movie or did you just blow a load of money on
I can
visuals?
see why people do think it's a good movie because Kubrick is a great director. There's no question
Yeah.
about it.
Mm.
But for me, the thing hinged on the casting of Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance. You know, I mean, in the book, the character of Jack Torrance is supposed to be this man who is morally grey and who has a kind of like slow descent into madness. And whatever Jack Nicholson's qualities as an actor are, you know, he looks like a fucking nutter all the time. It's very difficult to believe in him as a man slowly sliding into madness.
Yeah, it's
So
more like directly going
Yeah,
ape shit.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it
That's
could
so
have been
that's
worse.
so
They
true.
could have done it um, with Nicolas Cage. That would have been.
Oh, like long legs. Oh, have you seen that one? That's the new
yeah.
film.
What did you think of
Actually,
it?
that's a good one for this topic because it's
Yeah,
about
satanic.
Satan.
Yeah,
Have you guys seen it?
yeah, I've
Which
seen it.
one?
I haven't.
Sorry.
So
Long
it's
legs.
only us, long legs,
Long
with
way.
Nicolas
Ooh.
Cage.
No, haven't
I
seen it.
loved him in this movie.
He was good. Yeah.
He, I couldn't believe it was him. I didn't know anything about the movie. So I was like, who is this? I know that face, even though like he's masked. It's like prosthetics or whatever it is. But then I had to pause the movie and like just like find who is this? And I'm like, of course it's you. Of course it's you. It's him. It's just he ate the movie. But like the movie itself, eh,
Yeah.
ah,
Well, there
It
was
was
that.
alright.
The remake of The Wicker Man with Nicolas
Oh,
Cage.
Jesus
oh, I
it
haven't
was
Christ.
seen
like,
that.
you know, the bit in the original Wicker Man at the end where he goes, "Oh no, Jesus Christ, no!" And it's like
Yeah.
someone said to Nicolas Cage all the way through that movie, act like that, and it's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that was fucking
I
awful.
need
That
to
was
watch that.
terrible. Oh,
that
don't,
was a
oh,
bad
you
It's
movie.
can. I mean, it is a
if
really,
you
really
watch it
bad
not
film.
thinking it's going to be a serious film, it's really fun and really campy.
Okay.
The
But
remake.
yes, but
Yeah,
I mean the original is quite campy as well. But objectively,
yeah.
it doesn't make any
It
sense
is.
anyway the way through at all.
No,
No,
no, it
no,
Oh,
doesn't.
absolutely not. It's just, yeah, just bits of Nicolas Cage doing his, you know,
I mean,
nutty act strung together kind of thing.
he is just, yeah, I can't even put my words on his, like, what is he? I don't know. But this movie, The Long Legs, I mean, it is supposed to, some people say it's the scariest movie, you know, ever. It didn't
I
scare
didn't find
me.
it scary in the slightest.
I don't think
No.
it's a horror movie. It's like a thriller-ish
Yeah,
thing.
it was written and directed by Osgood Perkins, wasn't it?
I don't
And
know.
he's the
Not
yeah,
sure.
he's I think he's the son of Anthony Perkins, who was Norman Bates in Psycho.
Oh, right. Mm.
So, but yeah, I didn't find it scary as a movie at all.
Maybe the great reviews sometimes actually are not that good to see or hear because then you think, okay, this is gonna scare me. And when it doesn't, you know, maybe it's not a bad movie. I don't know. But what I wanted to say, like the how they approach the satanic thing and the devil was so
Yeah,
annoying me
yeah,
because it
yeah.
was just the, you know, the horned shape. Like, can you please come up with something new, something freaking, you know,
Yeah,
something
Yeah, I mean,
fucking
we talked
sexy
earlier
or
about
like, Nice.
But a
New.
sci-fi horror,
Come on.
and a really good sci-fi horror, which kind of was kind of like it was suggested it might be a bit satanic. Was oh shit, the one with Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh,
I can't remember what it's called.
Don't know.
Event Horizon. It is Event Horizon.
Yes, Event Horizon. That's it.
Double
Yeah.
checking for like an idiot.
that's the
And
one.
that
Yes,
was
Event Horizon's really, really good.
I really enjoyed that film. I thought that was really good. I'm not sure it was overtly satanic, but there were certainly lots of lines about descending into hell and yeah, and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I thought that was a really very clever film and very well executed.
I like the most recent sort of sequel to The Omen, which
Yeah, that was really good.
That's
it
really
was
good.
good because in the end you go, I know I'm not going to say what the end is because that's a plot spoiler, but you know, I like any, just say I like any movie where the Catholic Church is to fucking blame for everything. I would go, yeah, okay, I can live with that.
Sign me in.
That's another one I need to see then.
Yeah.
It's actually, I went into it with very low expectations, thinking this is just going to be a cash grab, and it was really pretty good. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
I would definitely say out of all of them, it's my favorite one.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I have it, saved it. It's in my watch list, Bohema.
Good.
So when you mentioned that, like in some movie, you just said that like people were saying like, oh, we're going to hell or something. What about the movie Drag Me to Hell? What do you think about that?
That made me laugh my ass off all the way
It
through.
is. Again, it's Sam Raimi. What you can't
Yeah.
fucking argue
The
with
man's
the
a
guy.
genius.
He's just, you know, he can do. He just manages to get the right amount of comedy in with
Yeah.
gratuitous violence and jump
Yeah.
scares. But like, oh no, I'm going to make this really funny, and no one else does it in any way approaching that.
Yeah.
It's a unique
Did anybody
film.
watch? Did anybody watch his? Because he directed the latest. Oh shit, what's his name? Doctor Strange movie, one of the MCU films.
Oh, Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, brilliant. We're going to get, you know, because it's about the character, obviously Stephen Strange, but also Wanda Maximoff as well. And I thought, oh, brilliant. We're going to get a genuinely horrifying version of the Scarlet Witch. And it was just kind of like, I mean, I know it's a Marvel movie and they have to play to
Very
kind of like PG, but I don't know. I just thought, why bother hiring a renowned sort of like auteur horror director to do a fucking Marvel movie if you're not gonna sort of like go all in on it?
Mm-hmm.
He's the Spider-Man guy, and they need to make him feel better about himself after. And a lot of the visuals that you ended up in that film were really, really, really good. Like, a lot of them quite like classical horror sort of visuals, and all of my favorites sort of like really cheap wipe cuts through different scenes that he seems to be quite a fan of. But yeah, no,
He does
it
do
was
that,
muddied
yeah.
down because it's a studio
Yeah.
blockbuster thing. Therefore, you're kind of
Yeah.
like hamstrung by how much you can actually go about it and change and do something interesting.
There was a great scene in that. The one with Patrick Stewart in a kind of like,
Oh
I'm not
yes,
sure if it was a dream sequence.
yes,
and-
the sort of the mindscape, the very blank white
God.
mindscape. Exactly,
That
like,
was-
things like that are really, really good in that film. It's just the rest of it kind of is
Yeah.
like, oh yes, no, handcuffed by the studio.
That was a pure Sam Raimi moment of absolute horror. But
Yeah.
the rest of it was a bit shame, really.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like getting fucking Tobe Hooper to do Batman or something. That
Look, I would watch that. I think there's a lot of
I would
scope.
definitely watch that.
There's a lot of scope for doing a Batman film in sort of horror mold. It's a very
Oh.
easy thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck getting anyone to sign off on that. If anyone.
Yeah, no, never happened, but yeah, it would be great.
Yeah. We say give it 3 years and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's kind of like the kind of comedy take on demons and angels. It's like the kind of thing that Supernatural did well at its best, which is kind of like, yeah, demons are assholes, but so are angels, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, I did enjoy most of the seasons of Supernatural because it was just so stupid and openly stupid about things and just messing with the concepts. But I kind of like the things where they kind of twist it a bit, and you go demons versus angels, and both of them, neither side is kind of w without guilt, if you see what I'm saying.
Mm, mm. I got a confession to make. I've never watched a single episode
Me
of
Don't.
that show.
neither.
Oh, it's great
For your own
fun.
sake, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Really,
Really? Why?
not a
Why?
fan.
Look, I enjoy the Supernatural as much as the next person, but I'm aware that the only reason I enjoy it is because I've seen every single episode from the beginning, and I'm
Oh,
Stockholm syndromed into liking it. It's not a lot of it is very funny.
oh.
Some of it is bad. A lot of it is objectively really bad.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, it is a lot of it is really formulaic and bad, but some of the best episodes are absolutely hilarious, and
yeah,
there's some. Yeah, I know what you mean about the Stockholm syndrome because I got kind of like caught on it because you watch a couple of good episodes and you go, oh yeah, I really like this, and then you watch
so yeah.
another three and you're going, oh God,
This is shit.
they're going to bring out the shotgun with salt pellets again. But there
Yeah.
was some, there was
And
there
it's going
was
to be
some,
cool.
What?
It's
yes,
going to be really, really cool. They're going to shotgun a ghost, and it's going to be fine. It's
yes,
and yet,
yeah, it is.
Right.
I liked some of the characters in it though, and I like to say I like the bit about. You're going, oh, the angels aren't saviors, they're absolute shites, just like, and some of the demons aren't half bad, you're going, I kind of like that, you know, take where
Yes.
you're not going the traditional, yeah, angels are great, they're here to look after you. It's like, no, 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 they're God's fucking army. What are
Put
you
it this way,
talking
there's a
about?
reason that they have to go "Do not be afraid" every single time they appear somewhere.
Yes, yes, because they can
Why
smite
else
you.
would they be
They can kill
15
you.
rings of eyes? Like,
Yes.
Do not afraid.
there's no reason for that.
Well, that's what we want. A bit, get some CGI and make some biblically
Oh, I'd
accurate
watch the
angels.
fuck
The
out of
accurate
that.
angels.
Oh, I'd
You
watch
just
that
have a
so much.
movie of people standing around going, "What the fuck is that?"
We need to do that. Oh,
What is that? What is that? A wheel of eyes? What?
Sorry, I couldn't make it into work today. There was a biblically accurate angel at the moment.
Yes.
Biblically accurate angel blocking my way. Yeah.
Do
So
you, do you know an underwear shop anywhere nearby? Because I might need a new pair. It's
biblically accurate angel. Yeah. So what
yeah.
about Buffy? You got any Buffy fans apart from
I've
I
heard
me?
of it, to be honest.
I did enjoy Buffy. I
Yeah.
not so much the later ones where it kind of like got a bit too bloody serious and up itself.
Yeah.
But the
that's a
kind
good
of
bit.
like earlier seasons where it was kind of campy fun, it was great. Yeah, I did enjoy Buffy, but
Mm.
it kind
Yes.
of like disappeared up its own arse after a
It's a good
while.
phrase.
That's I
what
don't
did
know. I don't know how I feel about that. I would disagree. I think Puffy got good when it started giving itself a little bit more, taking itself a bit more seriously. Personally,
There was certainly, yeah. I know what lithos means. It did get a bit, but that those latter episodes did produce some of the sort of like really good individual moments, like the death of Buffy's mom
hmm
and Tara and things like that. That those kind of episodes were very good, but it
I
was
might
more fun. The
I
other
might
episodes.
actually be thinking, sort of like thinking about this. I might actually be mistaking Buffy for some of the spin-offs, like the one with David Boreanaz. I can't remember what that was called.
oh,
Uh,
I didn't even know there was a
Angel, wasn't
spin-off.
it?
Angel,
Oh,
that's it. Angel, yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
right.
That because I started watching that and then got really bored. I do get easily bored. I have to say that's not necessarily anything against,
Satan
but
hath bestowed upon you ADHD.
yes.
You'll never make it to the end of this show.
Good luck trying to watch a movie. This is what you get.
Who's eating?
It's me.
Yeah,
Uh,
Satan.
Wonderful. Let's see if we can drag this back to topic.
Yeah.
We were discussing
Please.
Hammer horror earlier. I'm going to bring it back to topic. The person who doesn't like horror films. I'm going to throw The Devil Rides Out into the ring. I hope someone else has seen it as well.
Yeah,
That's actually a
that
pretty
was
good movie.
that was a Dennis Wheatley movie, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not movie, book. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think any movie made on a Dennis Wheatley novel immediately comes from the winning position of being better than the Dennis Wheatley novel because all Dennis Wheatley novels are shit.
Absolutely. Christ. Do you know what? I remember this again. This is in my teenage years, and I think this might have been a Reader's Digest thing or something. My folks bought the entire set of Dennis Wheatley novels,
Bloody hell.
bound in fake leather kind of thing.
oh my God.
And because I was into books, and they probably thought I would kind of like that, and it would be a good warning off, satanic stuff.
Oh.
And I did not manage to finish a single one. They were absolutely fucking shite.
You wrote
They
a
And
are
lot.
dreadful.
I was not very fussy. I read some really shonky sci-fi at that time, so but I mean they were dreadful. God.
The only horror writer I can think of off the top of my head who's worse than Dennis Wheatley was Guy N. Smith, who wrote the timeless Attack of the Crabs series of books.
What?
Yeah, giant crabs, giant mutant crabs.
What the
I
fuck are
mean-
you talking about?
What?
Seriously, that's what. Yeah,
Oh my God, this looks amazing.
yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks for yourself.
No, I know,
What?
and actually, I've got a worse movie than that. A horror movie. There was a horror movie made, I think, in America. I think it was in the 70s, maybe the 80s, called Night of the Lepus, which was about giant mutant rabbits.
Rabbits.
It was impossible to take them seriously as a threat because all you wanted to do all the way through the movie was cuddle them. They were so cute, even though they were giant.
Hmm.
Yeah. I did say I had a kind of like strange affection for monster movies. I've watched some of the worst monster movies ever made, and Night of the Lepus is definitely up there with that.
But yeah, to get back to what Eddie was saying, The Devil Rides Out's a pretty good Hammer.
It's actually a
Possibly.
good movie. Yeah.
Possibly one of the best Hammer movies yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the one that strikes me as less gross, I guess the way of putting it. It's a film that tries to take itself a bit more seriously, which
Mm-hmm.
may or may not work for the sort of like film and output Hammer were doing at that time.
Mm.
But again, like Christopher Lee doing an exceptional performance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But then, yeah,
they didn't ham it up as much as they did in some of the Hammer movies.
no, it's very true.
No, I think there was a tendency for the Hammer movies once they got past their Bram Stoker fixation they did try and kind of like rein it in a little bit. The Devil Rides Out was certainly amongst.
Mhm.
Was it The Devil Rides Out? I can't remember.
Yes.
But yeah, there was a whole series of movies they did after the sort of the more famous Dracula ones that were not that the Dracula ones were bad, but they were very sort of campy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. What
Yeah.
about The Exorcist? What do we think of The Exorcist? Does it qualify as a satanic movie?
The book is great.
Well, I mean, it has to qualify as a satanic movie that the girl's possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
What's the name
Yeah.
of the demon? Venom James or something, I think.
Pazuzu, isn't it?
Pazuzu, yes.
Was it Azuzu? Where did I
But
get Venom James from? Because
Isuzu is they make pickup trucks.
no, Pazuzu.
Pazuzu.
Yes.
Pazuzu, yeah,
PAZ.
Yes.
Pazuzu,
Venom
that's the one.
I just feel like it's important to make this distinction. It's not a
Zuzu.
white van.
I like this.
You're going to have to do an episode of Gospod, which is primarily about cars and trucks, specifically for Behemoth.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
Lord.
It'll just
Which
be
car
you
is the
talking.
most satanic?
That's the most satanic car. It's a Renault
Black
Clio.
Trans Am. Yeah, so it's ostensibly about a little girl who's possessed by a demon, but as we talked about earlier, it's kind of like got this subtextual thing of the youth of America, you know, going to hell, literally, in the case of The Exorcist. What do we think about the sequels? Have we all seen the sequels?
They made
I
sequels.
haven't.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think I have seen.
The second one was shit. The third one had possibly the best jump scare that's ever been committed to movie. If you go to YouTube and search out Exorcist 3 jump scare, it's the best jump scare I've ever seen, ever done. It's brilliant. It's literally a work of art, that jump scare. Have you seen the new one, Exorcist Believer?
No, not me.
No.
Yeah, you're missing nothing.
Not expecting that.
Yeah. It's a bad movie. It's very, very bad.
You have
Oh.
a
So
lot
bad.
of words.
It was originally planned to be 2 movies, and they've abandoned doing the second one. That's how bad the first one was.
Oh,
Good. That's always a
okay.
good sign.
Nice.
So not okay. Important question: is it bad in that kind of like almost good to watch as
No.
like a party movie? So
No,
bad that it's just
it-
bad again.
It's not bad in the sense that you're laughing your ass off all the way through. It's bad in the sense that you want to kill whoever it was wrote it.
Oh, good.
Okay, that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a rage movie, but not in the traditional
Yeah.
sense.
Rage quit.
It's literally like someone said, right, we've got this really good IP, which has got a lot of goodwill that we can build on. How can we shit on that in the most effective way possible?
Let's let the
And they
accountants
made
write it.
Exorcist Believer. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. Well,
The main question is, what do you do to make an Exorcist sequel?
Yeah.
Where do you have to go from there? That's
Yeah,
the main
exactly.
sort of thing.
I mean, can we just
And
appreciate
should you?
and like acknowledge the fact that some movies can also just like they can just be one movie and there doesn't need to be a sequel?
no, that's not how money works.
That's not how money works,
That's not
but
how money
that's
works,
also
yeah.
stories don't work based off money, or they shouldn't at least.
Oh my god.
Now, I think that's a very good point. I mean,
Mhm.
there's an awful lot of movies out there that really did not need sequels.
Exactly.
or not as many like the Scream.
Yeah.
It seems like 90% of
Just
movies
stop.
sequels are only made because the first one did well, and then you can physically get the feel of the second movie. The director's just going, "Shit, that did really well. We didn't expect this. What the fuck do we do from here?"
Yeah, sometimes
It's
it can,
very,
it can
very
work.
rarely
It can work.
planned to be a multi-part series, and you can tell that it was planned or actually done well in that it lines up and continues the story further, not just the same thing with different characters or something like that. Like
think
the
that's
Paranormal
why-
Activity movies, where it's all just the same thing but in a different house or something.
They were slightly, they were uneven. The Paranormal Activity sequels. The second one was okay. The third one is very good, really very good indeed. And then after that, they were just
No,
pretty shit.
Yeah.
should stop.
But what about a film like Aliens then? Because I thought that was a pretty good movie, but not necessarily a horror movie.
Aliens as in the sequel to Alien.
Yeah,
Yes, so that's
James-
not a horror
the
movie.
James
No,
Cameron one.
James Cameron. I would say that's pure sci-fi, whereas Alien would be like a sci-fi horror. So it's more of the bombast, more of like the larger sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
You know,
agree.
the bits and pieces, the big like showpiece and big like conflict, as opposed to Alien, which is like the pure like you're stuck in a corridor with
Yeah.
something that is designed to just kill you and nothing else.
Kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Hospitality worker at Christmas.
Yeah, it's
But I
kind of
think
over the top.
it does seem that a lot of, or maybe not in the last couple of years, but certainly over the last 10 years, there's been kind of like this Marvelization of movies where they have to become franchises,
Mhm.
like
Mm-hmm.
The Conjuring, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And we've now got various spin-offs. We've got the Nun movies and the Annabelle movies, as well as the main Conjuring series as well. And none of them are really that good, really. None of them, to my mind, really bring anything new or original.
Mm.
Yeah. So just kind of the same story, either the same story or just like the generic like sort of you think of, I don't know, a scary nun, and it's the nun movies, like is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like the generic, like the first thing that comes to mind. Like yes, it might be scary, but if you've done it 50
I
times,
mean,
it kind of loses the point.
nuns are scary to me. Like they're
In real
really-
life, in the
Sorry.
movies,
Mm.
Depends
Not
on the nun.
friendship.
I've just found it. I know what's when I said Venom and James. James Veneman is a Gemini killer in The Exorcist 3. That's where I've
Okay,
got
okay.
the name from because I thought, why did I think that was a demon that was possessing the girl? Of course, it was Pazuzu. It's
Oh,
like
in the yes, that's
Right.
right, in the book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exorcist
Yeah.
3, and it's like, yeah, but again, sorry to distract there, but I had to go on
No,
a
no.
this is
Make it right, yes.
Dig it
this
out.
is fucking my disorder. If something comes up and I go, why did I do that? I have to go and search for it. Anyway, back to where we were.
Mm-hmm. What do you
Yeah.
think about the Lars van Trier's? Am I saying the name right? His movie Antichrist? Antichrist?
I haven't
I
not
thought
seen that.
it's a very good movie. I really enjoyed it.
I love it. Well, the name is more satanic than
Ah,
if you just watch it, you might not even think it's really there. It's really subtle,
No.
the satanic thing, but it is there. It is there. And it's connected to a child, like that child. But it's not done in a way, it's like what I just said, it might seem like, oh, it's gonna be like haunting of this baby that died. No, it's really, really good.
Mm.
And it has so many layers. I don't know, I could maybe listen to more reviews, but from what I gathered, I think it's like so rich. Maybe it's not even there, but people see it in there. This is the thing. Like I would like to hear what the author actually meant by the movie, but I could see it's about feminism. It's about, this feminine power getting stronger and stronger, but it's really gross towards the man, which I enjoy. I'm sorry. Sorry. Sometimes I enjoy that. Because there is many movies like Witch and Burning Women, and sometimes I like to see, okay. So this is, it can also be turned around,
It's refreshing to have like the
not
formula
in the
flipped on
real
its head.
life, not in the
Yeah.
real life. I love all genders,
fascinating to have
whatever.
a Lars von Trier movie described as refreshing. Fascinating statement.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
just
but
thinking
you
the
know what I
same
mean.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
a palate
Lars von
cleanser, we're going to
Trier.
watch a Lars von Trier movie.
Yeah, they can be
yeah.
really,
They're
really
heavy,
fucking
heavy,
hard
heavy.
work,
Yeah.
some of them. I
Heavily
mean,
refreshing.
heavy movie. Like
Mhm.
all of them by him, I think. But like this one is so artistically beautifully done. And those two, what are their names? William Defoe?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah,
her
Willem
her
Dafoe.
name, I'm sorry, lady, I forgot
Oh,
her name. Charlotte.
Charlotte Gainsborough.
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh my goodness. I think it's only them two. They play the whole thing.
Mm.
And it's so, please watch it.
Mm.
It's really
reminded me-
beautiful.
It reminded me, and I don't really know why it reminded me, but it did remind me a bit of Hereditary.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Maybe
could be.
kind of like the sort of like sense of unease that was running all the way through it.
Mhm.
That kind of like things are not quite right.
Yeah. And it's not completely in your face.
Yeah,
Though like Hereditary, I think it was made more for the masses. Like it's more of like the cinema movie, I think. Like it was made to make money. I don't think many if I ask people, have you seen this Antichrist? Not many people have seen it.
No.
It's not really that famous. Maybe it's a little bit too psychological, too philosophical. I don't know. Maybe some people just want to be scared, and this is, you
Well,
need
I
to
think,
really think. I don't know.
when you attach a director like Lars von Trier to it, it's like attaching a director like David Lynch. You know you're going to get a very particular kind of movie,
Right,
which is not necessarily commercial.
right.
All
and it's
good.
difficult to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's not. It's
I
not
will
for
not
everybody.
hear any criticism of David
no.
Lynch.
Okay. Yeah, I mentioned this movie because of the name. Like. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
I thought it was a great movie, Antichrist. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And to me, as far as Willem Dafoe is concerned, it's up there with The Lighthouse as one of his best movies.
Oh, he's a great actor. I think.
Yeah.
My opinion. Really great.
Yeah. Antichrist, The Lighthouse, and Spider-Man.
It's got one of the faces of all time, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Does
Holy
have the face of all
Trinity.
time.
Yeah. But like there are many movies like around the satanic thing. Not all of them are about like devil or whatever, but like the worshipping and the robes. I've seen it in many teenage horror movies, whatever. And I never liked it because it's so cheap. It's just I wanna. Do you know what I
Like
mean?
a lot of the time, yes, a lot of the time it's used as shorthand for we're doing something now which
Evil.
is transgressive.
It's just evil. Yeah. Kidnapping, baby dies. Oh, I don't know. There is a beautiful teenage American girl alone in home or babysitting or whatever. Oh my God, they're gonna kidnap her. Who? The satanist. Oh,
Well,
oh yeah, it's just no.
I think a lot of horror revolves around. If it revolves around supernatural stuff like ghosts or whatever, it's not like kind of like slasher or that body horror like David Cronenberg stuff. If it involves a supernatural at some point, Satan will come up because ghosts, if they're bad ghosts, then it's a demon or the ghost
Yeah,
being possessed by a demon or some shit
it
like
comes
that.
from hell. It's always like that. It's never
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
maybe we don't understand what's
yeah.
happening when you die. It can't be just, well, something that we don't understand, which is not what I think we believe, but whatever. But it has to be connected to hell and to evil and to like, ooh,
Yeah, because
I mean,
even something
they
like
even did.
you know.
Go on.
no, carry on.
I was
What were
going
you
to
gonna
say even a movie like Poltergeist.
That's exactly
which-
what I was going to say.
Well, yeah, there you go. We're of the same age, that's why.
Aye.
Yeah, so I mean, the name of the movie is Poltergeist. So you go, okay, obviously this is a movie about poltergeists, but then they have to sort of like you were saying, Lygia, they have to they have to up the ante, as it were. It's not just a poltergeist; it's a poltergeist from hell, sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's
it
like-
is. I mean, if you
you
made a
don't
movie
really-
about a poltergeist, it would be fucking boring because it would just be things flying around the room. Oh, what now? Oh, it's a kettle. Oh, it's a load of books. Oh, it's rattling the chair.
Although that would be hilarious if you just see like the sort of evolution of somebody living with a poltergeist on a daily basis until they give him a name eventually and just go, Jared, what
Yeah,
the
and
fuck?
just go, oh, for fuck's sake, that was my favorite cop. You
Exactly.
There is a
did
book
do
like
that.
that. Actually, there is a book. It's called September House. It's about this haunted house and this old lady, not middle-aged, I don't know, old lady. I think her name is Margaret, which is perfect. She lives in the house and she doesn't want to leave. So she actually is like naming these goats and exactly this, like, oh, I forgot the names, but like, Emily, can you please stop? I'm not in a mood now. Like,
Yes.
just come in 1 hour. This room is yours. You're like, you don't worry. It's such a freaking weird book. It's so funny. It's supposed to be a horror book, but it's so funny. So
Honestly, I
yeah,
love
it
that idea.
exists. It exists.
It is.
I
But at
love it.
least it is actually about poltergeist, whereas the movie Poltergeist was literally not
Yeah.
about any
It's not.
About
poltergeist.
poltergeist at
No.
all.
It was,
No, no, you're
what was
right.
it? They were on an ancient, um, sort of
Native
like
American burial
first
house.
people American,
Yeah.
burial place, and they were all Manitous. They were evil Native
Yeah.
American spirits kind of thing, and it's like, where's a poltergeist? I remember coming out of that and thinking,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, that was quite good
Where's the
fun,
actual
but
poltergeist?
what
Yeah.
what was why did you call it poltergeist when it literally there was no poltering going on?
Okay.
Poltergeists don't kind of
Altering.
call you into the telly. They chuck the telly at you.
Very true.
Yeah.
Altering.
God.
Oh my goodness.
That's amazing.
But they all, I mean, even Sam Raimi is a little bit guilty of that. The Evil Dead series was kind of like, they're demons, but they're kind of like, no, they're actually ancient Sumerian demons, or
Yes.
are they? Or well, what the fuck are they, Sam? Just tell us.
Make up your
Well,
fucking mind.
yeah, I think he kind of read a fair bit of Lovecraft and went, yeah, I'm going to
Definitely.
do the Necronomicon, but comedy, where
Mm-hmm.
Lovecraft
Yeah,
went kind of dark. He went, no, I'm going to go comedy. And,
yeah,
unlike Lovecraft, I'm not going to make it racist.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
God, yeah, yeah.
But if I can ask this. Yeah, you can edit it if it's stupid. Have you ever seen any movie or maybe series like around the satanic thing? Or like straight, I will ask, with the Satan figure or devil, Lucifer, which you actually thought it's cool? I'm not, and I don't mean it in the sort of like the value of GOS, but like, entertaining figure, which you actually thought it's cool or it's scary or it's sexy or it's something that you liked. Is there any?
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
I quite enjoy. I do. I used to be a big comic book reader back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked the Lucifer adaptation that
The
they did.
series.
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
I just
that's,
wish
yeah.
I just wish they'd done more with John Constantine in it, or anything with John, because Constantine, and I don't mean Keanu Reeves' interpretation of that character. I mean the actual original Constantine,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lucifer character in the DC comics were kind of both very interesting characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he that particular character's or that particular interpretation of Lucifer or Satan or whatever was pretty. I'm not sure cool is the right word, but certainly interesting
Mm-hmm.
beyond the kind of like stereotypical presentation.
Yeah.
Devil
Yeah.
gives up. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad series. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. They only did one interaction between those two characters, and Constantine, to be honest, is one of my favourite comic book characters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it came in a kind of like crossover episode for the end of. So they had a number of TV shows at the time. They had The Flash and they had Green Arrow, well, Arrow as it was called on the, but it's about the character Green Arrow.
Allegedly.
and they had a minor crossover with Lucifer and John Constantine, and I just wish they'd done more of it because it was really good. It was really good. There you go. What do I know?
Yeah, I think that's the only one I can think of as well, and it's the first one that came to mind. But generally, cool or sexy Satan does not kind of
Yeah.
feature
It can be
very
like
much.
demon or something. It doesn't have to be, No, nothing like Paradise Lost.
Demon.
That's funny.
All I can think of is very much not a horror series, but all I can think of where that sort of Lucifer character is actually depicted in a somewhat like interesting and cool way is Has Been Hotel, which I'm not sure if anybody's heard of.
And we're ending the podcast now. Goodbye.
Well, Eddie's heard of it. I really enjoyed it, so fuck you. That's
I have
my
no
answer.
idea what is going on.
Well, that is the right attitude to
watched it yet.
take in any case. If someone says, "Oh, that shit," I enjoyed it. If you didn't, fuck you.
I don't care. I loved it.
It's not for
I'm
me.
excited for season 2.
Not for me. That's all I will say on that one. Not getting involved in the Discord. Please don't cancel me.
There was a character. There was a vaguely kind of devilish character on the Powderpuff Girls.
Yes,
I
yes, there was.
I won't present myself as an aficionado of the Powderpuff Girls. My daughters were heavily into it. That's my excuse.
Oh.
But I do remember seeing this character and thinking, that is fucking terrifying.
Well, yeah.
And I can't remember why it was terrifying, but it was terrifying. Sorry about that large bang, by the way. It was me dropping my vape.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah, it's,
Edit
well,
that bit out.
well, it was you dropping a bollock because you'd mentioned the
All that.
Powerpuff Girls. And
Hey.
it's like, what the fuck?
There's nothing wrong with the Powerpuff Girls. It's peak television. That's what
Girl
I'll say.
Boss.
Okay.
Girl Boss as a television show.
Well,
Actually, no, I don't stand by that as an opinion.
we might have reached a natural end to this podcast.
Please tell me you're not keeping that in, for God's sake.
Yeah, we're going to have to. We are going to have to keep that in. We're now run up
good
an
Christ.
hour and a quarter, so if we make it much longer, there's going to be one hell of an edit job and one hell of a long podcast. So I think that an hour
God, it's
10
really
is
just
about,
usable.
I think it's perfect like this. We don't need to.
yeah.
Honestly, there's not too much to edit out from what I can remember.
We
at
didn't
least.
really say much, so.
No, it
Oh,
should be
good.
it should be
It was
quite.
a load of waffle, which a very enjoyable waffle, but it was a load of waffle.
Yeah, I don't think
Christopher
there's-
Lee is good, and that's the entire podcast done. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Christopher Lee is the best.
Christopher Lee is good.
Best vampire. Full
An idea
stop.
for whoever's doing the caption, just TLDR, some movies are good, some aren't.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
There we go.
We like
Fixed
some
it.
movies.
Yeah.
This episode is basically us saying we have opinions about some movies.
We have some opinions.
Yes,
I have some
we
opinions.
have some
There are
opinions.
movies.
Only mine are real.
There are movies. Movies exist.
Yes. There are movies.
There are
They
indeed
exist in
movies.
this
Movies
world.
exist, and only Eddie's opinions are valid on those reasons.
Yes.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
And do not mention Has Been Hotel, apparently.
God, mate, don't get me cancelled.
Our usual thanks to friends of the podcast, Matt and the guys from Hearst Pileup, for letting us use their music as our theme tune. Why not check them out on Bandcamp? And while you're at it, why not check out our compilation, the proceeds of which go to charity, and it's called Contra Odium, from the Satan Not Hatin campaign. As usual, if you have any comments or you'd like to suggest topics for future episodes, please email us at gospod@ghostsatan.com. That's GOSPOD at GOSATAN.com. And in the meantime, be well, hail Satan, and thank you for listening.